Welcome to my first annual Halloween special.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to my channel where I talk about movies. Today I'm going to be giving you guys my top 5 favorite horror films of all time. I don't think you guys understand how big of a video this is going to be. This is going to be a banger. I absolutely love the horror genre. It's one of those things where it's like, you either hate it or you love it. There's no real in between, right? Like, you have to be all in or out. And I just happen to be one of those people that loves scary stuff, so I'm all in. So let's not waste any more time and let's jump straight into this. So starting off at number 5, I have VHS. Now, I know a lot of people are going to be disappointed with that. Just don't click off this video just yet, alright? Just bear with me. I understand it's not like the best horror film you're going to see. It's not like the storyline's going to blow you away or the acting is Oscar worthy. I'm not saying any of that stuff. But what I am saying is this is a terrifying movie, which is the purpose of the top 5 list, the best horror films. Did it scare you? Like a lot of these other films you're going to see on this list, they're great horror films. They're unnerving, but they didn't really scare me. As you grow up, you're not going to get scared as much as you were younger. When I saw this movie, dude, I remember it perfectly. I was in early high school. I was at my friend's house down in Carlsbad, California. Dude, it was late at night. My friend told me, let's watch this movie, man, it's creepy. And dude, I remember I ran out the room once because the scene was so intense. I mean, like I said before, if you are not a fan of the horror genre, I do not recommend this movie, okay? And even if you are, if you're not well versed in the horror genre, probably don't jump straight to this one, right? If you haven't seen a lot of scary movies, this is probably not the one to start with. It's very intense, it's grotesque, there are some violent scenes in this movie, and that's what adds to the terror and why it impacted me so much when I watched it. Now, another reason why I put it in my top 5 list is because I love the premise of this movie. I think it's a very unique scenario that's probably never been done before. I mean, comment down below if you've seen a movie like this, but I mean, I thought it was very unique in the sense that there's these people breaking into this house to steal these tapes, and then they're putting these tapes into a TV, and each tape is like an individual scary story. So you're seeing a bunch of mini movies inside of a big movie, and that's kind of how the storyline goes as well. There's a bunch of subplots in the movie that all fall under this umbrella of this overarching plot, and I just thought it was very, very different from what I've seen in the past before. So coming in at number 5, it's gonna be VHS. If you're really that mad that it's in my top 5 list, make your own top 5 horror film list. Alright, now for number 4, I'm gonna throw a curveball at you guys. It's gonna be The Orphanage. Now, unfortunately, this is a foreign film, so it is not in English, it is in Spanish. But don't let that discourage you. If you've never watched a foreign film, sit your ass down, put the subtitles on, and watch the movie. I promise you won't regret it, dude. It is a fantastic film. I mean, if you want to talk about horror films with a great storyline that's meaningful and deep, this is your movie. Now, I'm not going to talk about it too much because I found this comment when I was watching the trailer of the film on YouTube again, and it literally portrays exactly how I feel about this film. So let's go ahead and read it. Alright, we're going to skip all the way down here. It is ultimately a heart-wrenching story about devotion, grief, and unconditional love. To anyone who's having doubts about watching it, don't. The Orphanage is probably one of the best films I've ever seen and easily steals a spot on my top 10 list of best films ever created. So, anyone who isn't really into horror, watch it. Anyone who's anxious about subtitles, get over it and watch it. After watching it, you can all return to this post to pay a form of gratitude. In the meantime, I'll be watching this masterpiece for a second time. Boom, I liked it. That's exactly how I feel about it, dude. Don't let the subtitles scare you, okay? It is a great film. You have to watch it if you love horror. I highly recommend it. Alright, now moving on to number 3, we're gonna start throwing some classics into the mix now. It's gonna be The Exorcist. This is one of the most iconic horror films of all time, with some of the most iconic horror scenes of all time as well. I mean, remember when the girl turns her head 360 degrees around her body? That, to this day, is one of the creepiest scenes I've ever seen. And that's what's so great about this movie. It really stands the test of time. I watched it not too long ago, and my God, it holds up. I mean, there might be one or two cheesy things here and there, but for the most part, it is still a great film that you can watch to this day. And I just gotta give a shout out to Linda Blair, whose performance as a 12-year-old girl getting possessed by a demonic spirit, I mean, it was amazing. So if you haven't seen The Exorcist, that's a must watch because it is an absolute classic in the horror genre. You cannot call yourself a horror fan unless you've seen The Exorcist. So that's my 2 cents on that. Alright, moving on to number 2, we're gonna go ahead and come back to my time era, and I'm gonna give you guys one of the greatest horror films of my generation, and that is Get Out. This movie blew my mind when I first saw this, okay? And the part of the reason was because it was directed by Jordan Peele, okay? I know Jordan Peele as the guy from the comedy sketches Key and Peele, okay? So to see him pull off one of the greatest horror films ever, I mean, I was like, is this even possible? Am I in a simulation? The simulation is real! Elon Musk was right! But yeah, what a great movie. And once again, the premise of this film is, it's second to none almost. I mean, I can't believe nothing's been done like this before. I mean, it's just so, like, when I'm watching this movie, I'm like, God damn, it's not too far-fetched. It's not too far-fetched. I feel like that shit could happen. And especially nowadays, it's very hard to make a great horror film because they're just pumping out so many movies nowadays. So it's more quantity over quality. And at the same time, you're just getting a bunch of jump scares, bad acting, gory films. It's just like a bunch of nonsense. So to see an actual good scary movie is quite rare nowadays. And Get Out was one of those movies when I saw it was like, wow. That's a good scary movie, man. That's how it's done. And what I absolutely love about Jordan Peele is that he did a great job at blending humor with suspense and horror and making it really come together very well. Because a lot of times when people try to mix comedy and horror, it really doesn't come together that well because when you're trying to create a serious tone and you're jumping back from comedy to scary from comedy, it kind of takes away the power from those scary moments. However, in this movie, there are some really funny scenes that really work well in that specific moment. And the beauty of it is it doesn't take away from the tension of the film. And like I said, for my generation, this was the movie growing up. I mean, I remember being in high school and everyone being like, did you see Get Out? Did you see Get Out? Oh my God, we gotta see Get Out. Like, it was the scary movie that everyone talked about. Like, I'm sure The Exorcist was back in the day when it came out. Everyone must have been like The Exorcist, but I didn't experience that because it wasn't for my generation. So I'm telling you guys, for me, for my generation, Get Out was that film that everyone talked about and everyone was like, that is a movie you have to watch. So let's give it up to Jordan Peele because I truly believe that is his signature piece of art. It is just almost perfection. All right, moving on to the number one spot on the list, my all-time favorite horror film. It's The Shining, the greatest horror film of all time, and it's all because of the performance of this man right here, Jack Nicholson. Oh my God, what a magisterial performance by this man. I mean, I'm still perplexed to this day that they didn't give an Oscar to that performance. I mean, I don't know who won that year. I'm sure they deserve it, blah, blah, blah. But God damn it, was Jack Nicholson close because that was a great acting performance. But aside from Jack Nicholson's flawless performance, I talked about this in my last video, in order to pull off a great horror sequence or scene, you have to be alone, you have to be isolated. And sometimes that's hard to do because the only time you can be isolated is like in the woods or at 1 a.m. in the morning when everyone's sleeping. But in this movie, you have an entire hotel to yourself and you're isolated in it. And how you come about that situation is really good because it actually makes sense where in the winter the roads are closed off, no one can get to it, but you need to have a caretaker for this big humongous building. It can't just be left out there to die. So this gentleman here brings his family and he's going to be the caretaker over the winter, and then he starts to slowly lose his mind. I mean, where do I even go from here? I mean, it's just such a good movie, guys. It's such a good movie. And what makes me a little sad inside is that when I show this movie to younger generations like my sister and all that, they tend to not appreciate it because they're just so accustomed to seeing gory stuff and monsters and special effects and content. They don't have that patience to truly appreciate that slow build, which is sad because they're gonna miss out on great pieces of art like this. It's so good and it's just like, understand, please. But yeah, it's not a movie where you're gonna see monsters or grotesque scenes like in VHS that are really gonna make you jump out of your seat. It's none of that stuff, but it's seeing him slowly go insane and go crazy in his head that makes this movie so disturbing. And the Here's Johnny scene is probably, no, it's not probably, it's the most iconic horror scene ever. I don't give a what any of y'all say. Comment down below a more iconic scene than that. Here's Johnny! Here's Johnny! And it's based off a novel from Stephen King. You can never go wrong with Stephen King. I mean, he is the king of the horror genre. So if you haven't seen The Shining, you're doing yourself a disservice. God damn it, rent that film this Halloween season and make it a date to watch that movie because it is the greatest horror film of all time, and it's taken the number one spot on my list. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you guys think about this list. Did I miss anything? Let me know down in the comment section below, and I'll catch y'all guys later. Peace.